was a time of the Depression. There were some people that weren't making out too well, who were on relief and one thing or another. So that was the time of, well, the Depression, the big change in the stock market. Everybody was making money up until 1929 when the stock market went poof, sort of similar to what's happening now. And from that time on, all you heard about was unemployment, 20%. People selling pencils and apples just to make ends meet, just to put food on the table. And Roosevelt came along and had his NRAs, WPAs, and the rest of that sort of thing, which sort of gave people a little bit of hope, but didn't help matters much, because that was always unemployment clear up until the time of the war. The war started, of course, in 40. For us, started in 41. Started in Poland in September the 1st, 1939, when Germany invaded them. And that was the start of change in the productivity of the country and all. Everybody went to war, turning out everything, turning out tanks, and people were joining, enlisting in the army and this and that, depending on whether they were well advised or went with the Marine Corps if they were even better advised. So as I mentioned once before, Frank graduated in 42 and got a ship, and he was over in England for preparing for the invasion, which came about in June 7th and June 5th, I guess it was, in 1942. And his ship was an LCIL, and they were in the first waves. And for his heroism in taking his ship into mined waters to salvage a barge, he was awarded the Bronze Star Medal. When this was going on, I was on a ship in the Mediterranean in Italy, and so I was a couple of thousand miles away from the activity. Although from what I saw over there was still plenty of activity in the Mediterranean, with the people, destroyers being towed in with the sterns blown off from acoustic torpedoes, and I was wondering who was winning the war. Well, everything turned out okay, finally. I no sense in going through what my experience, but in the war, that's another subject. We can deal with that maybe at another time or so, and I'll give you some idea how many ports I was able to get into, how many ships I served in. And I think the one ship that I didn't particularly feel comfortable in was a big tanker. We were carrying avgas and into Bristol in England, and this was a T2 tanker, very fast. We were able to do 18 knots, so we were escorted, but there were plenty of depth charges by a convoy ships that were taking care of the submarines. That, but it's very unsettling to think that you're sitting on top of a blowtorch. So as I said, it was not the most comfortable ship to be in, but fast and good. So, it's a turbo-electric tanker. Anyway, after that, I guess I'm going to talk about it anyway, huh?
You're already on the subject, man, so keep it up.
Well, um, during the when I was a cadet, during our um, what would be our sophomore year, we had to go to sea as a cadet to learn what the trade was all about, as opposed to learning it from books. You were supposed to go there and do practical work afloat, standing watches and getting the ship ready for sea and so on. And so this particular one that I can't ever forget is the time that we went to um, from New York down through the canal. On Christmas Day we did all the fueling. Then we went down the south coast, the west coast of South America, zigzagging all the way, and then around Cape Horn, and seeing those monstrous rollers coming from the Pacific into the Atlantic. You'd see them. If you had to look up about 45 degrees to see the top of the rollers, and this was summertime, so it wasn't quite as dramatic as it could have been. And anyway, we got around into just off the coast of South America when our ship almost got blown out of the water by a British ship who mistook us for an armed raider. Well, everything worked out all right. We finally went, after 3 months, 2 months of traveling, we ended up in Durban for refueling and for continuation to go up into the Sudan and Suez, where we visited the pyramids, and after a little R&R, and then back down Cape Town this time, over into Bahia, Brazil, Trinidad, and then back to New York. And that was, well, we left in the middle of December, and we got back in the middle of August. So it was quite a trip. Salty. And then we went back and to resume our studies in a more placid environment of Kings Point. And from there we got, I forgot to tell you that when we were in Bahia, Brazil, I proposed to Tutu, and she graciously accepted on my arrival back in August. So that was the start of a new career.